Today in Venice, Italy, hundreds of protesters took to the streets saying kisses yes and no to Jeff Bezos. The floating city is where the Amazon billionaire married Lauren Sanchez in an extravagant wedding. Tonight, the newlyweds are celebrating with guests at a final party. For more on the buzz and the backlash, here's CBS's Elizabeth Palmer.
Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez tied the knot in Venice, a gorgeous Italian backdrop for an American extravaganza, with water taxis instead of limos, and a guest list that included 200 of the couple's closest A-list friends. The Kardashians, Tom Brady, Usher, Oprah, and Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. Masked paparazzi vied for celebrity shots. Some, like Tommy Hilfiger, made it easy. Some, like Leonardo DiCaprio, did not. All week, there had been protests ranging from the bizarre to the blunt. Critics say Amazon should pay higher taxes. Locals blame it for forcing small shops out of business. And many just object to the opulence of a blowout party for the 1%. Wealth doesn't get more conspicuous than this. The yachts, the couture, the bride's diamonds. How much is it costing? We don't know, but tens of millions. For tourists, it was all part of the spectacle, right down to the Bezos impersonator in St. Mark's Square. After exchanging vows yesterday on the island of San Giorgio, the Bezos Sanchez's are throwing a final party today, and tomorrow, everyone heads home, leaving barely a ripple in a city which has seen the famous and their fortunes come and go for more than 1,000 years. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
Billionaire Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez kicked off their marriage over the weekend with a spectacular wedding gala in Venice, Italy. But the lavish ceremony sparked backlash from protesters who say the event was tone deaf at a time of global turmoil. Our Seth Doan has the story.
The newlyweds were still beaming Sunday, never mind that their 3-day wedding extravaganza was expected to cost upwards of $50 million. That's a bit easier to bear when you're the world's 4th richest man. The backdrop for Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding was this picturesque city of canals. Venice is no stranger to spectacle. Still, this one had paparazzi working overtime. Guests, many bold-faced names, shuttled around in boats, lots and lots of boats, representing media, Oprah, and yes, our own Gayle King, tech, Bill Gates, sports, Tom Brady, fashion, that's Tommy Hilfiger, and film. There's Leonardo DiCaprio under the cap. Some of the 200-ish invited were in a category all their own.
And a kiss again!
There was a performative aspect to some of this.
This side, this side!
Even if not everyone got their shot. While a few, in this case, not so small details like those rings emerged, not much came from the ceremony itself. Aside from a couple of social media posts, Vogue got the choreographed close-ups exclusively. The bride, Lauren Sanchez, a former journalist, now philanthropist, was quoted saying that Sophia Loren offered a bit of inspiration. It seems everyone always has an opinion about a wedding, and when it's on such a grand scale, the opinions are exponentially louder, with some questioning whether we were seeing another Gilded Age on gaudy display. Protesters were decrying Amazon's impact on jobs and small business here in Italy and calling out inequality and elitism. Some used all the attention to lament high housing costs, damage from over-tourism, and just the excess of it all. For centuries, Venice has been a stage for opulence, parties that can enchant, excite, and/or disgust. This past weekend was just the latest show. For CBS Mornings, I'm Seth Doan in Rome.
This was literally as if the Oscars and the Met Gala had a baby. It was star-filled. We're talking about guests like Oprah Winfrey, Leonardo DiCaprio, and everybody looked beautiful, including the bride herself, who was wearing couture Dolce & Gabbana, and she had a little bit of a something blue from her Blue Origin flight that I thought was pretty cool. But obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of people, including critics and protesters, were not happy with such a lavish display of wealth and the billionaires taking over their city. As you can see there were signs. We saw a few dummy Jeff Bezos floating around the canals, blow up crocodiles trying to stop some of their guests arriving on the river taxis. So people of Venice weren't as happy as I might be from across the pond watching it as a third party.
And some people might say, look, he's got a lot of money. Why can't he spend it the way he sees fit? And you know, when we take a look at the price tag on this, I mean, it is hard to imagine. How do you spend $56 million in just 3 days? Do you know? I mean, where did that money go?
Well, obviously, that is an eye-watering amount. It's a kind of number that is almost incomprehensible to every other person on the planet. How one spends that amount of money in such a short period, I genuinely don't know. But what I can say is that the billionaire has hit back at critics because he said he pledged $3 million. Sorry, excuse me one second. He pledged $3 million to local charities. He also asked his guests to, instead of giving gifts, please give donations to local suppliers. And obviously, this is going to bring in nearly $1 million of tourism to Venice, which is only going to help the city, whether it's in repairs, whether it's with local artisans, restaurants, hotels, and things of that nature. And he did actually hire almost 80% of local artisans for his wedding. So the money is going back to the city itself.
Yeah, that's a good point and a good balance so that people can understand that. I mean, when I hear $56 million, I'm like, did everybody get a new car that came to the wedding? I mean, I mean, it's crazy, right? You know, he is worth an estimated $231.4 billion. So you think about that. I mean, is this really just a drop in the bucket to him?
Well, if you think about it, if you were to work that out into an average person's salary, that's around thinking he spent maybe about $200 on his wedding. When you think of the extravagance, and that just goes to show how much money this man has got, which is why some people were so upset, saying, if you can, they had a big sign out on one of the plazas saying, if you can read this from your private jet, you should be paying more taxes. So I can understand both sides of the spectrum. If he's got it and he's worked hard for it and it's his, why not enjoy the most special day of his life with the people he cares about most, as we all deserve to do? But on the other hand, the majority of the world, like we say, he is in the 1%. The other 99 will never see that kind of money. Most people are struggling right now, barely making the minimum wage. So I understand exactly where their pain and frustration comes from. And when people that actually live in Venice are struggling to pay for their daily expenses, struggling to pay for the price of their rent, you know, cost of living has gone through the roof everywhere in the world right now. And so I understand the frustration of such an extravagant display being shown when people literally are struggling to make ends meet.
Right. Okay, so we've got this arm wrestling going on over the money over there. But let's talk about what happens today, because the two have officially tied the knot, but we still have the reception to look forward to today. Although it looked like it looks like they may have had several receptions. But what moments should Star Watchers be on the lookout for today? What are we going to see? Is there an itinerary that you know about?
Well, everything with these guys is kept under top secret wraps. I mean, there's only been rumors so far about some of the celebrities that have allegedly been performing at their wedding. Rumors have it that there was Elton John, Lady Gaga, Kygo, all in playing attendance. I mean, can you imagine? That's like having the Super Bowl right there. But so today is the last day of their wedding celebrations. So I do think things will be winding down. They'll be saying goodbye to all of their guests. And, you know, things are so tight-lipped. Everyone has been on such high alert. They've actually had to change several venues for their 3-day celebration due to trying to not disrupt the locals, listening to other people's worries about the wedding, whether or not it'll stop local tourists. So they have tried to be extremely accommodating. And can you imagine spending that kind of money on a venue in normal terms and then last minute having to change it, and it's not the venue that you actually paid for or that you had your heart set on because you're trying to appease other people. So it does go both ways. I think if I was a bride, I wouldn't be happy with that.
Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's Venice wedding is making all sorts of headlines, not just for the star-studded guest list or the eye-popping price tag. There are protests, private jets, everybody seems to have something to say. So one of our favorite entertainment journalists, Carla Renata, is here now to break down the backlash, the buzz, and as they apparently wave to us from behind. Hi, guys.
Hey.
what do you think of this whole thing?
Oh my goodness, it's a lot going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have way too much money and too much time on your hands. You got 64, 68, 72, 76, whatever the numbers are, $1 million that you spending on a wedding, which they claim is going to be spent in the city of Venice. But then the mayor of Venice was like, oh, you can have the wedding here, it's not a problem. But the people of Venice were like, yeah, no, y'all got to go. And did you see the one sign that was on the ground that said, if you can rent out Venice, then you can pay your tax? And I think the people of Italy are commiserating with us here in the U.S.
Right. So basically, we know that for years, Amazon basically paid almost no taxes. So there's been frustration. There's been people from all over the world who have been protesting this. But then there's other people that say, look, the guy's made a lot of money, and why can't he enjoy it? It's a wedding. We should celebrate love.
It is wedding season, but come on, if you're not paying your taxes, if everybody else got to pay their taxes, you got to pay your taxes too.
Well, it's not that he's violating any tax law. It's just that the tax laws are written in a way to benefit somebody like him because he has tremendous lobbyist power and all the rest.
So let's just say the mayor of Venice is okay with that wedding being there because there's some kickback to the mayor of Venice.
So, and it's interesting, the guest list. It reminds me of, you know, like the Lakers front row or the Knicks front row where it's like only celebrities and you have to be really, really famous to get there, and then they put you in tears based off of how famous you are. That seems like this wedding. It's like the front row of a Lakers game.
Look, it doesn't seem like this wedding. It is.
Does she have any non-famous friends?
I don't think so. Me and you not there, so clearly not.
Yeah.
But she got Bill Gates. She got Mark Zuckerberg. She's got the Kardashians.
Yeah.
She's got, who else is up in there?
Well, Bezos might have Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, but I mean, she's got Orlando Bloom is coming, Leonardo DiCaprio,
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry not coming. She's going to be in Australia on tour. Yeah.
That's her bestie, so I'm surprised.
Yes, I know. Apparently a predetermined tour. Yeah. But I mean, all this money, because some people might say, man, that could be donated to something that could help people, or other people say, look, he's got billions of dollars. Good for him.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when everything popped off earlier today, Lauren took to one of her social media accounts and she was like, listen, she was like, I don't see what the problem is. We're spending all this money, it's going back into the economy of Venice. Why can't we just have our wedding someplace beautiful that we like? And this is the place we chose. Y'all need to, basically, she didn't say this, I'm paraphrasing, but she basically was like, y'all need to shut up, I'm getting married in Venice. Like, so what?
Yeah, and she's found one of the richest guys in the world and they're able to pay for it, and I guess good for them. But there is, I think, a lot of people that look at this and say, look, we're at a time where we've got these ICE raids going. We had, you know, bombings in the Middle East. We have all these really serious, big time, important stories, and then this feels kind of icky.
Yeah, it feels icky because I was just saying a little while ago, last night here in yesterday in Los Angeles, there literally was a food vendor that was stripped away from a tree, that was hugging a tree to not be taken away from her job. We have that going on here, but you're going to go to Venice to spend millions of dollars to get married? How about you spend it here in Los Angeles and get back to the economy of Los Angeles? We got all these healthcare issues. Yeah. Like, it just seems tone deaf to me.
That being said, if you were invited, would you go?
Yeah, hell yeah, I'd go. Look, I'm not turning down no free food and a cocktail for nobody.
All right. Congratulations to Jeff and Lauren. Thank you, Carla.
You're welcome.
Rosie ODonnell objects to this union. Just days after Amazon founder Jeff Bezos wed Lauren Sanchez in a lavish multi-day celebration in Venice, Italy. Estimated to have cost $50 million, Rosie has joined the voices criticizing the extravaganza. She wrote on Instagram June 30th, "The Bezos wedding, it turned my stomach. Seeing all these billionaires gathering in the gross excess of it all. The show of it." She also took a moment to call it the star-studded guest list, which included Hollywood attendees such as Orlando Bloom, Kim Kardashian, and Oprah Winfrey. She continued, "Is Oprah friends with Jeff Bezos? Really, how is that possible? He treats his employees with disdain. By any metric, he is not a nice man." In a separate post, Rosie reshared a tweet that juxtaposed the amount of money Jeff allegedly spent on the wedding to those currently losing their Medicaid and Supplemental Nutrition Assistance program, alleging they are losing the benefits just so he can get a huge tax cut. It's disgusting and just wrong. In her caption, Rosie wrote, #truth, #pathetic, #sad, #real facts. The actress isn't the only celebrity who has voiced their opinion over the nuptials, which sparked controversy from the locals in the water-bound Italian city. Charlize Theron likewise made a comment about the guest list. The star joked during a speech at her Africa Outreach block party in Los Angeles June 28th, "I think we might be the only people who did not get an invite to the Bezos wedding. But that's okay because they suck and we're cool." Indeed, many eyes were on Venice over the weekend of June 27th to see how the celebration would unfold and what Lauren had chosen for her wedding dress. But not everyone was happy with the dress or the spotlight shown on the wedding, including Katie Couric. Katie commented on Jack Schlossberg's Instagram post featuring the image, "Welcome to the 80s, when big hair and conspicuous consumption ruled."
What happens when one of the richest men on earth throws a wedding for the woman he had an affair with in one of the most iconic cities in the world, while millions of people are struggling with homelessness and poverty? You get chaos. Today, we're breaking down how Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos turned their wedding into one of the most talked about, criticized, and downright messy celebrity events of the year. From tacky wedding gifts and leaked text scandals to celebrity hookups and public backlash, this is the full breakdown of why everyone is dragging Lauren Sanchez right now. Before she became Mrs. Bezos, Lauren Sanchez wasn't exactly a household name outside certain Hollywood circles, but her history of dating powerful men runs deep. Lauren started her career as a TV host and reporter. While she may have covered news, her real headlines were made off camera, with her relationships. Her first high-profile partner was NFL star Tony Gonzalez. The two dated in the early 2000s and even had a child together. But Lauren's journey didn't stop there. She later married Patrick Whitesell, one of the most powerful agents in Hollywood. Patrick was no ordinary Hollywood executive. He ran one of the biggest talent agencies and held influence over countless careers. Being married to Patrick opened doors for Lauren. Suddenly, she wasn't just a TV reporter. She was in the same rooms as A-list stars, billionaires, and global. For nearly 15 years, Lauren enjoyed a lifestyle of private jets, red carpet events, and industry connections. But that was just the beginning of her climb toward billionaire status. In 2019, everything exploded. Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos were both married when they began their affair. What started as a private relationship quickly turned into one of the biggest tabloid stories of the decade. The reason? Lauren's own brother, Michael Sanchez, allegedly leaked private, intimate text messages between Lauren and Jeff to the National Enquirer. These weren't just cute texts. They were cringeworthy, overly intimate, and revealed just how deep their affair went. Messages like, "I want to smell you. I want to breathe you in. I love you alive, girl. I will show you with my body and my lips and my eyes very soon." And if that wasn't enough, a compromising bathroom selfie of Jeff, taken while he was still wearing his wedding ring, also surfaced. The scandal made international headlines. Both Lauren and Jeff finalized their divorces in the same year. Jeff's ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, walked away with a massive settlement and an entirely different public image, which, fast forward to 2025, Lauren and Jeff threw a $50 million wedding in Venice, Italy. And let's just say, taste was optional. Guests were treated to a silk-themed pajama party, a foam party on a $500 million yacht, and over-the-top decorations that many called garish and excessive. But the biggest insult? The wedding gifts. Male guests received plush velvet slippers retailing at over $100. Meanwhile, female guests got cheap Amazon-branded slippers. The internet quickly exploded with memes, jokes, and criticisms. People couldn't believe that guests attending one of the most expensive weddings of the year were leaving with bargain bin house shoes. As if the wedding itself wasn't enough, Jeff and Lauren threw a wild foam party on their $500 million yacht just days before the ceremony. While protesters in Venice lined the streets holding up signs and chanting against the couple's exploitation of the city, Jeff and Lauren were out at sea, laughing, partying, and dancing through foam. Photos from the party showed guests drenched, drinks in hand, completely detached from the criticism brewing back on land. Many felt this was just another example of how out of touch the ultra-rich had become. As if the wedding itself wasn't enough, Jeff and Lauren threw a wild foam party on their $500 million yacht just days before the ceremony. While protesters in Venice lined the streets, holding up signs and chanting against the couple's exploitation of the city, Jeff and Lauren were out at sea, laughing, partying, and dancing through foam. Photos from the party showed guests drenched, drinks in hand, completely detached from the criticism brewing back on land. Many felt this was just another example of how out of touch the ultra-rich had become. While Lauren was making headlines for tacky decor and foam parties, Jeff's ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, was making headlines for something else: giving away billions. Since her divorce from Jeff, Mackenzie has donated more than $19 billion to over 2,000 nonprofit organizations. She's helped fund education programs, food banks, housing initiatives, and more. Social media users couldn't help but compare the two women. On one side, Lauren Sanchez, throwing foam parties and flaunting her new billionaire lifestyle. On the other, Mackenzie Scott, quietly reshaping philanthropy and helping millions of people worldwide. The contrast was stark, and people noticed.
But the drama didn't end with just the wedding and the gifts. The guest list was packed with A-list celebrities, and, apparently, some behind-the-scenes hookups. All eyes turned to Orlando Bloom and Sydney Sweeney. The two were spotted wandering the streets of Venice together the morning after the wedding festivities, looking visibly hungover. Photos of Sydney strolling through Venice in oversized sunglasses, with what many described as a classic walk of shame look, fueled the rumors. Some thought Orlando and Kim Kardashian might have sparked something during the event, but insiders say Orlando was far more interested in Sydney. However, things took another turn. Orlando was later spotted leaving with a mystery woman on a water taxi after the wedding after-party. Speculation ran wild. Was Orlando juggling both? Was Sydney just enjoying single life? To make it messier, Sydney was also seen dancing with Tom Brady and newly single Brooks Nader during the after-parties. Whatever the truth, Sydney seemed...
After the main ceremony, guests weren't done. Lauren and Jeff hosted a late-night pajama-themed silk party that lasted until 4 a.m. Jessica Alba reportedly tore up the dance floor and was crowned unofficial best dancer of the night. Kris Jenner and Corey Gamble were also seen dancing for hours. Kim Kardashian, however, looked visibly hungover during the next morning's photo ops. Fans speculated whether she was pushing a new soda brand during the event, posing with a can in hand, even while nursing what seemed like a killer headache. Other celebrity sightings included Usher in what many described as a pajama coat, Oprah in her signature pastel color palette, and Caitlyn Jenner spotted in oversized brown glasses.
Beyond the fashion fails and celebrity hangovers, the event had its fair share of cringe moments. Jeff Bezos' infamous laugh made the rounds again on social media, with compilations of him letting out a cartoonishly exaggerated, villain-like laugh. Tommy Hilfiger nearly fell into the Venice canals. Kendall Jenner showed up wearing what fans compared to a failed fashion experiment, complete with a hood that left people scratching their heads. Kylie Jenner, true to form, showed off her body in a form-fitting dress, while Kris Jenner gave off major Cruella de Vil vibes, but in a good way. And Gayle King, well, as usual, she was left awkwardly in the background of group shots, looking confused and...
With homelessness skyrocketing in cities like Los Angeles and Venice, many people saw the Bezos wedding as an out-of-touch display of performative wealth. Across social media platforms, users voiced their disgust at the $50 million price tag. One viral comment summed up the mood. Imagine taking $25 million of that and donating it to Venice as a PR stunt. Maybe then people wouldn't hate you as much. Even beyond the wedding, critics pointed to Jeff and Lauren's continued display of excess. Foam parties, yacht escapades, and themed after-parties, while millions struggle with basic needs worldwide. Lauren's social media posts from the wedding weekend didn't help. One particular group photo of servers dressed in outdated, maid-like uniforms went viral for all the wrong reasons. Fans compared the image to scenes from dystopian shows like The Handmaid's Tale, with comments like, "Why would Lauren even post this?" And, "It's giving Handmaid's Tale." They either hate the outfit or... So, where does Lauren Sanchez stand in the public eye after all this? It's complicated. Some admire her for securing the bag, climbing her way from local reporter to billionaire bride. Others find her cringeworthy, tone-deaf, and emblematic of everything wrong with the ultra-wealthy elite. There's also debate over whether backlash against Lauren is rooted in classism, sexism, or even racism. One viral comment sarcastically suggested,
another example of a Latina stealing your man. But even that drew pushback from others online, saying, "No, babe, that's not it at all. No one wants Bezos, and we Latinas don't claim her." Whatever the reason, Lauren Sanchez is undeniably one of the most talked about women in celebrity gossip circles right now. From her billionaire climb to her over-the-top wedding, she's managed to stay at the center of controversy. Whether it's for her fashion fails, her past scandals, or her questionable taste in wedding favors, she has the internet talking.